Alexandre Lavoie inspired him to join the American Truckers Convoy.
Seeing what they did to your reporter in Canada, I mean, to be frank, it pissed me off. You know, seeing her get shot point blank with that tear gas canister, and that's why you guys have become my favorite news network.
A local pastor explained that the Canadian convoy's fight for freedom was so inspiring to his community that at his church in America, they sung Canada's national anthem, O Canada.
Canadians inspired me. I'm a pastor of local church. Not this Sunday, but Sunday before, you know what was our worship song? O Canada. Whole church were singing, O Canada. People were crying. This is what we need to sacrifice for one another.
I'm Jeremy Lafredo on assignment for Rebel News in St. Robert, Missouri, beside an abandoned highway that the U.S. Truckers Convoy is using as a rest stop. The U.S. Trucker Convoy, also known as the People's Convoy, is now roughly 900 miles from Washington, D.C. Once there, the massive convoy will demand an end to vaccine mandates for cross-border trucking and also the restoration of other freedoms taken away under the guise of COVID-19. The Canadian Truckers Convoy, or the Freedom Convoy, is a dominating factor in the American truckers' trek to Washington, D.C.
Honestly, this whole thing wouldn't have been possible without the Canadian truck drivers, our brothers and sisters to the north doing what they've done. I mean, they inspired the world. They ignited all of us.
Seeing what happened in Canada and seeing them stand up, I wanted to be here to support my brothers in Canada.
You know, the truckers set the world on fire with their leadership and the guts to do it.
All of us truckers, I would say, probably would not have been able to get together and unite the way we have down here if it wouldn't be the fact that we saw them do it up there. It made it look possible to everybody else.
That's why we're here. Why I'm here is they stood up for tyranny in their government, and I ain't putting up with it down here either.
Yeah, it was definitely inspiring, and I was very supportive of it. And when I found out about this, I was like, well, dang, I mean, I pretty much have to do this.
That's the reason I'm here, watching what went on there. It was a catalyst for me.
I think a lot of this of why I am here is because what was happening in Canada and the way they were treated. The people loved them, but the government did not. And that just shows on our continent what's going on. And it's time for the government to listen to us.
Canadian truckers were so brave, and they actually inspired this convoy. And you know what is the beauty? There are many Canadian flags here, guys, and we love our Canadian brothers.
We, as Americans, saw that happening in real time, in real life, and see that our government, who's in power right now, is going that direction. So the movement, just as a tidal wave over the whole country, just said, we got to stand up. That's the words we all heard in our mind or in our soul. We got to stand up. So now's the time. Now's the time. Everybody go to Washington, D.C. right now.
Canadian truckers faced the seizure of their fuel, the seizure of their funds, and had their privacy violated by intelligence gathering operations run by Ottawa police and federal law enforcement. Some organizers of the convoy are still in prison. American truckers explained to Rebel News that they believe Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is a tyrant, citing his undemocratic policy decisions and how he never met with any of the peaceful protesters, instead opting to enact emergency orders which outlawed the protest.
The dictator Trudeau, seized all their money, forcibly out. It's supposed to be a peaceful protest. They like to switch it around to something that it's not.
For Trudeau to outright come out and refuse to talk to the truckers, I think was a really big letdown for the entire country, and showed everybody in the U.S. here how weak he really is.
I thought everybody in Canada liked that little turd, Justin, but realized that they have some rebels out there too.
There was a warning shot fired by Trudeau to freeze bank accounts of his political opponents, and doing so shows the government's hand, and it shows the fragility of the banking system.
It's totalitarian regime that one guy declares emergency, and the system is so corrupt. They were arresting people under emergency order that was not even going through the parliament, right? It's a tyranny, guys.
It is crazy to think that their government did that to them up there. I mean, and it was sad. Let's just hope that our government don't do that to us.
He refused to talk to the leaders, any of the truckers. He didn't show his face to anybody. The first 2 weeks, I think he ran away or something like that.
Oh, they think that Trudeau's a tyrant and a dictator, and they ought to.
I think it kind of showed the hand of the Canadian government and what they were willing to do to their citizens who were at one time heroes during the pandemic, and now they're pretty much named as terrorists up there.
You know, there's a lot of people that were unjustly arrested and being held in a manner in which is not okay. And I hope that the governments around the world wake up and pay attention to their people, because the people aren't standing for that kind of behavior any longer.
When these truckers come in, we are told by the media there's 5 trucks, there's 10 trucks. How many people you see on the overpasses? How many people you see in this little town in the middle of Missouri?
Participants of the U.S. convoy are, similar to Canadian truckers, willing to make sacrifices in order to achieve their political goals and aims.
When I seen what happened in Canada, we know they took their fuel. We know they towed some of their trucks. We know that they seized their accounts, cut off their insurance. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know that I'm risking everything I've got, and I got my wife in the truck, and she's going with me. And I'm going to tell you right now, we're still coming.
Or they want to put me in jail, put me in jail. I don't care. I told my truck, I got the money to get it out. I don't care. So I'll be gonna be doing this because they did it as well. All right, and we all, the drivers in Canada, the drivers here, all right, we're the ones that keep their country and our country alive.
My family, as far as going back to my father, my mother, my siblings, they promised to take care of my wife and kids if anything goes bad, if that tells you anything. I will stop at nothing. We will start with a really peaceful protest. It will not be this massive, everybody runs into town with guns. We're not going to accept that. Anybody that's going to be along with us on that, to try to do that, they'll be kicked out. We have to do this peacefully.
Freedom's not free no more. And unless the American people stand up for what they believe in, the government's going to overrun us. So, yeah, who knows how far. I mean, sky's the limit.
No, I'm not willing to be violent. I'll tell you that right now. There ain't no way. It's not the card to play. And when there is violence, you're no longer the good guy.
It's not like we're doing anything drastic here. I wouldn't be part of this myself. A 36-year vet, and I'm here to follow these truckers as far as I can.
There is no sacrifice that I will not take to be able to get back to freedom. I don't care where it leads me. I might end up rotting in prison, but I don't care. I think for me, my biggest push is I don't want to later on in years, because I have kids, I don't want my grandkids to look back and say, why did Grandpa not stand up?
I want to do this nonviolent. All right, if they come at me violent-wise, if they come at me, meaning our government, violent-wise, I'll fight back. All right, but other than that, as long as it's, nonviolent and we can get it done, I'm all for that even more.
One trucker explained that the targeting of journalists in Canada, namely rebels Alexandre Lavoie, inspired him to join the American Truckers Convoy.
Seeing what they did to your reporter in Canada, I mean, to be frank, it pissed me off. Seeing her get shot point blank with that tear gas canister. And that's why you guys have become my favorite news network.
A local pastor explained that the Canadian convoy's fight for freedom was so inspiring to his community that at his church in America, they sung Canada's national anthem, O Canada.
Canadians inspired me. I'm a pastor of local church. Not this Sunday, but Sunday before. You know what was our worship song? O Canada. Whole church were singing, O Canada. People were crying. This is what we need to sacrifice for one another.
Thank you.